Here we go with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. I'm Steve Gamache, and we are checking out the Anyru Shirogami Kurauchi Damascus Gyuto 270mm knife. So that's quite a mouthful, so let's unpack all that. So this knife has a multi-layered construction. The Carter core steel is what's known as Shirogami, or white paper number 2, reactive high carbon steel from Hitachi. Heat treats around 61 plus Rockwell on that. And this kind of steel just takes an awesome edge. It's easy to sharpen. It's just pleasant to sharpen on the stones, and will take a wicked edge. The construction is all reactive, so there's a soft iron reactive cladding that's multi-layers on either side of that core steel, and they've got a Kurauchi or blacksmith finish applied to it as well. But everything will get a patina, get some reactivity on it, and will rust, of course, if you don't maintain it. But with as you start gaining a patina on this, you'll be able to use it more and more without having to wipe it down quite as often. But it'll get some really cool shades on it depending on the kind of stuff that you cut with it. Proteins and poultry tend to bring out nice shades of blues and blue and purple hues. It just kind of depends on what you cut. But cool knife line. These are well ground and have a nice performance factor to them. The weights and dimensions are going to vary a little bit from knife to knife. This particular one is about 215 grams, or 7.6 ounces, which really is pretty light for the size of the knife. Edge length is about 272, or 10.7 inches, so this is a big blade. The overall length about 17 inches. Height is 55.6, so generally 270s are commensurately tall. With the length that they have. The spine thickness, since this is so long, this has an awesome distal taper to it, but I measured it coming out of the handle above the heel here, and it's about 3.7 millimeters. I measured it halfway down, it's about 1.8, and I measured it a couple inches from the end, or the tip, and it was about 1.4, and then it thins out. Get the focus changing here, so you can see it just kind of thins out as we go. This is a little hiccup in the cladding here. There's a little hollow spot there, but you could sand that down a little bit more. It's not going to affect performance whatsoever. And then you can see it gets pretty doggone skinny at the tip. So this knife is going to be a good performing knife. It's got a little bit of flex in the front half of the blade as it thins up so nicely, but that's going to give you a nice performance gain as well. The handle is oval with rosewood with a black packawood ferrule. The rosewood can vary quite a bit in color, from kind of walnutty colors to more red shades. It just varies quite a bit. Tight install on the handle, nice fit and finish on the handle. Let's see, let's back it out here a little bit. The balance point is right about there, so it's a little bit in front of a pinch grip, which gives you a little bit of chopping power, some front centered mass on it a little bit. Although it's still a light, and it's amazing how light and nimble this blade is. It's got a little bit of weight forward mass, as I mentioned, but for this big a knife, I mean, I'm just throwing it around. It's pretty awesome. It's really cool. So there's your balance point. They've got a gentle curve here, especially being this tall, from the choil, the back of the blade into the neck. Loads and loads of room here for a pinch grip. Tons of room for a pinch grip. Let's see here. Let's look at the blade. Big blade, so I can't crank in too close here to get the whole thing in, but let's get our beauty shot. So you've got the multi-layered Damascus cladding, or you could call it suminagashi if you wanted to, the layered effect coming in. It's got frosted blade road, and then you can see the core steel, and then the shiny edge bevel. The edge was maybe 4 to 5 out of 10. The reason I say that, it's a pretty decent edge bevel, but the front half was pretty sharp and the back half wasn't as sharp. So the grind seems to be about 50-50, so for sure ambidextrous knife. They've got hand chiseled kanji up here. There's your hand chiseled kanji. It's a fairly smooth finish with a matte finish. I don't see any lacquer on this blade or anything. Fairly matte finish to the kanji. There's the cladding does show through on, I should say the layers do show through on the spine. So you can kind of see the layers, and you look on the spine where the core steel is and where the cladding is. They've done a nice job on the spine and also on the choil, relieving the corner. So it's very, very comfortable right out of the box, ready to rock and roll. Nothing you're going to have to do to it. As I said, performance on these is quite good. The knives are ground pretty thin at the edge, and they've got a pretty generous size blade road to them. And let's take a look at it on the cutting board. This is a big blade. So here's what it looks like. So this one kind of flows into a bit of a stop at the back and about that last third. And you can bring it down into the heel, but they've relieved the heel just a little bit so it doesn't like slam into that too hard. Although you kind of feel a stop come in there, but it's a gentle stop. And then a fairly low belly the rest of it. So you're not going to get super high on this one. You'll get fairly high just because it's such a long blade. You could tweak the tip a little with how you finish that tip off if you wanted to get some additional height, but you can get pretty high on this for most normal stuff. It's one advantage of a long knife. You don't have to crank the handle up and down quite as much to do rock cutting because of the length you've got. So that's one of the numerous advantages of a longer blade. Very smooth profile. This should work for quite a few techniques. Maybe pure chopping. Might have to use the back of the blade more, but it's a nice profile. So if you're looking for a bigger knife for prep or other types of duties where a bigger knife would be advantageous for you, this is a cool knife, nice line of knife, very good performance, kind of refined rustic finish on it. Well done. So this is the Anyru Shidogami No. 2 Kurouchi Damascus Gyuto 270mm knife.